she's stupid. Like, I don't know what else to say about that. Like, this man has puckered buttholes for eyes, and that's what happens to everyone who's infected. Her mom confirms that the old dude hears water drops, and Kathleen is just like, oh my god, you're infected? Like, can you not see his puckered buttholes for eyes, you dumb bitch? Anyways. I decided it was time to expand my horizons, so I started just randomly watching new anime from summer 2020. One of the first ones that popped up was a curious looking anime called Gibiate. Gibiate? I honestly couldn't tell you. Anyways, so I thought, it wouldn't hurt to take a look at this. Now don't get me wrong, the premise of the show seems interesting enough. Gibiate is about a disease that is spread across the world that turns humans into monsters. To be more specific, it's kind of like a zombie outbreak, but instead of having to be bitten, you have to be stung by the monster in order for it to inject its poison to turn you. The three main characters that we follow are Sensui, Kathleen, and Kenroku. Sensui is a samurai and Kenroku is a shinobi, both of whom time traveled into the future through a storm where they meet Kathleen. Like, the idea of the show itself seems interesting enough, right? The problem here is with the execution on that, starting with the art and animation. The first problem that pops up here, and it may just be a personal gripe, but it is something that distracts me a lot while watching. Everybody has this weird purple and green tint to them, like a filter was added in at the end of production. It just looks extremely weird, and as I said, it's extremely distracting. The monsters. The monsters are CGI and it just looks wrong. Like, it can look right. Take Luffy versus Bullet and Stampede. I know I said I had a problem with that, but it still looked fine. This is on the complete opposite scale. The CGI looks absolutely terrible, especially when they interact with your normal 2D character. I assume they did this to try to help with large-scale invasions of the monsters, but it's so bad. Another problem with that is that it expands to the fight sequences. It's like they realized that the 2D characters interacting with the CGI monsters didn't look right, so they just made no actual fights happen. And since really the only fights that have happened so far are with monsters, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Let me show you what I mean though. And pretty much all of the fights are just like this, with no actual interaction between the character and the monster during the fight. Just to throw it on top of the animation, the music. The music isn't bad itself, like the OP and the EP are just okay. Nothing amazing, but it isn't terrible, and the same applies to the music during the show. It just appears that they don't know when to add in the music. A lot of it just feels out of place for when they show it. Like this upbeat music playing right when everything is about to go to crap and you can tell it's about to go to crap. Just another thing that completely throws off the mood of the show. As far as how the story is performing, there isn't a lot to go off of since there are only 4 episodes, but I still have some fairly glaring complaints. For example, in the first episode when Sensui and Kenroku meet Kathleen, they're just like, yeah, we're from the future, and she just believes them. What? Like, she doesn't really question it, she's just like, hey, no wonder you talk funny and you're wearing those funny clothes, and that's really it. Only one military dude even questions it, and he's just like, yeah, like, I'm gonna believe that. And then that's the end of it. That's it. No one really questions it or tries to get to the bottom of it. I sat around waiting for them to be like, oh yeah, we have some more people from the past, which is why I believe you. But no, nothing. Nothing else occurs that would make you think, okay, yeah, it's reasonable for them to not question it. It just is. And then on top of that, the 2 characters that come from the past to the future, they're not experiencing any kind of shell shock. They're just there. And they see a car or a helicopter and they're like, oh, this is faster than horses, but nothing else. Anyways, our main character, Sensui, is your typical no emotion protagonist, so I'm not going into detail about that. He's literally just there to kill things. Kathleen she's stupid. Like, I don't know what else to say about that. Like, this man has puckered buttholes for eyes, and that's what happens to everyone who's infected. Her mom confirms that the old dude hears water drops, and Kathleen is just like, oh my god, you're infected? Like, can you not see his puckered buttholes for eyes, you dumb bitch? Anyway, The only saving grace for this show is Kenroku. Dude actually has a character, he cracks jokes, and he's just a joy to watch. Kenroku Best Boy 2020? No, not at all. I don't think this show is worth watching just for Kenroku. Maybe the show will get better by the end of this season. I doubt it. That's my verdict though. I'd say avoid this show unless you are extremely curious. See ya.